Everybody, I just want to thank you all for joining us today. My name is Malcolm. I am the marketing manager here at Workforce Institute, and we're also grateful that you've joined us, especially Nolan Peet, for your time today. Um, I just want to extend a warm welcome to everybody. And before we begin, I also just wanted to share a bit about Workforce Institute and our organization and what we do as an organization, and share a bit more about Pete himself, Nolan himself, before we kick off the webinar. I'm just going to start sharing my screen quickly. Um, Please give me a moment. Okay, great. I hope you can all see my screens.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to begin with a short overview of Workforce Institute and our program before we jump into our webinar today. And we will also disclose a special attendee offer at the end of the session for a discount for our various boot camps. So we will. Well, I have done the introduction so far and the welcome. Next, I will move on to a little bit more information about Workforce Institutes, followed by some information about our programs, and then some information about Nolan. And then at the end of the session after the webinar, we'll talk about the offer that we have for you and the next steps uh, following the end of the webinar. So Workforce Institute is a provider of flexible, career-focused online learning. We offer several AI-related learning pathways across UI UX design, data analytics, software, and project management. And we also offer career readiness support. So we have an amazing platform that allows users to perform a skills assessment and a career assessment. And it really helps identify a learner's skills gap or their career pathway, and it points the user towards the best fit based on their goals. And we, as Workforce Institute, are happy to demo the platform with you individually or for your companies to see how this platform works. Just a quick overview of the 5 main boot camps we currently offer at Workforce Institute. They are the AI Enhanced UI UX Design Bootcamp, the Generative AI Data Analyst Bootcamp, our AI Powered Project Management Bootcamp, our AI for Software Engineers Bootcamp, and finally, our Digital Marketing Bootcamp. So, it's quite a flexible range of boot camps for various fields in the industries. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce you today to our speaker, Nolan Peet. Nolan is a versatile UI UX designer and a creative strategist with experience creating user-centered digital experiences across multiple industries. He has worked in both agency and in-house roles with experience across user research, wireframing, product design, and strategy. Nolan's focus is helping students understand the full design process and creative process, the user-friendly solutions that really meet world requirements. His teaching style is practical and hands-on. He combines industry's best practices with real application so learners can build confidence in UI design and UX design. So, Nolan, we thank you again for joining us today. We are really excited to hear your perspective on how AI goals are changing UI UX design and why human centered design skills still matter today. So, without further ado, it's over to you, Nolan. Please go ahead and share your screen.
All right, thank you, Malcolm. Let's get my screen share here. Got to do portion. All right, I'll try to not take too long to get through this, but we have a little slide deck here we'll cover. And I'm not going to get too specific about the different AI tools available to help with UX UI design. I want to kind of keep it friendly for the uninitiated. So we'll go over some, the most essential UX concepts like the process of, research and design, and then iterative design as well. Um, so AI tools have exploded recently, as I'm sure you've heard, and they're causing a lot of rapid change. Some for the better, some for the worse, and a lot of it remains to be seen. Um, there are AI tools now where you can write a prompt and generate an entire website, app, interface. You can create all the content with AI too. It'll save you a lot of legwork writing web copy. That's just like the writing that's on a web page, um, images, graphics, all that kind of thing. So, you can create marketing materials with it and everything. Um, so this creates an obvious question. If the AI can design an entire app or product, I'll use those kind of interchangeably here. What does a UX UI designer do? Or anybody working in this space, really? There we go. All right, so uh, just imagine that you were given an idea for an app right now. How long do you think it would take for somebody to design that? A week, 3 days, specific time frame here. Let's see. So not to build the entire production app, just create what's essentially like a mock-up, right? Like a something that looks like the app but isn't actually coded. It's not the finished product.
Well, I could speak from my own experience there, Nolan, and depending on which AI platforms you use, it can take anything between 2 hours and 2 days.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Interesting. Absolutely. Um, Without AI, it can take a very long time. Take shorter
Yes.
amount of time too. Um, and even if AI is a factor, what matters is, how much you want to cater to the user experience. Um, so as Malcolm just said, you can in 5 minutes generate an entire app. Um, and will it be a good app? Will it meet the user's needs, or solve, the problem that they're facing ultimately? Since UX really is a game of solving problems, um, that would uh, be kind of shaky. And you would still need to prove that it works well for those users in order for it to be something that you ultimately invested any more resources in realizing it as an actual product. So you can describe an idea to a multitude of AI tools and uh, get something that looks like an app with navigation. Figma Make does like animations and everything now too. They'll do like some of the prototyping, I believe. Um, several different screens, and you can tell it to stick to a consistent kind of brand voice in it. And a few years ago, manually producing something like that could take significant work from, an entire team of people. Um, but there's a problem here. Whatever that generates just looks like an app. Um, it's not really a complete app. It's not a complete product, and it's certainly not good or ready at that point. I guess good is subjective, but so if the AI can design an app, what would a UX designer do? So the way I see it is all of these AI tools, they're not people and they can't empathize with the people that would be using the final product. So we can use AI tools as a way to reduce friction, make processes a little bit easier to automate, and lower the barrier for entry with some of the skills that really take time to develop and are kind of seen as maybe being exclusive from other skills in UX, right? Like maybe creating a design system, that would be uh, the guide that makes all of your buttons and your interface elements look really polished and very professional and like a final product. Um, Somebody who creates that can kind of be separate, at least traditionally, from somebody who's doing the iterative design of it, planning the initial blueprint for what the wireframes or the screens are going to look like. Um, and those being two separate things kind of serves its purpose, but with UI, it kind of becomes much more condensed, and people who focused on one part can now sort of cross over into the other, and have a machine do a lot of the legwork for them. Let's see here.
Okay. Nolan, I just want to confirm if you are currently showing or sharing your screen.
I
Because
am. Malcolm, you need to go to the Zoom window and at the top you'll see there should be like a browser tab at the top of your Zoom.
okay, okay, great. Just confirming.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. Okay, cool.
I haven't had much on these slides, everybody. Just make sure you're looking at my screen share. In fact, here, this is what I'll do. I'll stop sharing and then I'll start again. And that should bring it back to the front. There we go.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, yeah, that's a new thing Zoom does. I'm not sure when they started doing that. Um, yeah, so to understand what AI changes, before I ramble on any further about all of that, let's look at what UX design is and what a UX designer does. I'll try not to get too uh, deep about all of this. So, for the uninitiated, UX stands for user experience. Um, Don Norman of Nielsen Norman fame defines UX as, or user experience, as the space shared between the user or customer, a product or service, and the company providing it. So that's pretty broad. I mean, that could qualify for, just about anything, right? Um, buying a new car could technically be a user experience in that way if you look at it as kind of like a customer based thing. Um, let's see. Using the self-checkout at a grocery store is a good example too. You are engaging with an interface there, right? Because you're interfacing with this self-checkout uh, terminal as a you know UI. Um, but there's many other touch points there. There's the shopping portion of it. There's bringing the items to the front. There's the element of the item limit, right? And whether or not people listen to that. I know I certainly don't sometimes. And then, ringing those up and paying. Um, and then certain touch points, like how do you ring up produce, right? And then produce that's sold by weight or by item or whatever. Um, those are all touch points in what would be considered a user experience. Now, user experience design, when that is used, that term is referring to usually the design of like digital products. So, with that same example, the UX design portion would be for the self-checkout kiosk that I just mentioned, right? It'd be designing, researching and designing and testing that interface on the self-checkout kiosk. So that's not strictly app-based. Now, for a long time, a lot of the action and sort of the best lens through which to learn UX design has been through mobile apps, mobile app design, and it's a really straightforward way to understand it. So that's the example we're going to be sticking with, um, or sort of the area we'll be sticking with. But this also applies to websites, different systems used for all sorts of tasks like warehouses, warehouse inventory, uh, call centers, any kind of, system that you would use for your work. Um, but again, mobile app design is something that's, pretty straightforward for all of us, and most people use an app on a daily basis, so that's where we'll sort of stick to. Oops. Okay. So you have a user experience every time you use a product. Now, one misconception about UX UI design is that the designer is the person who makes the app look good, um, you know, adding color, typography, iconography. That's, sorry, icons. It's a big word just to say icons, graphic design, all that stuff. And some of those elements can be present in UX, but that's more so a UI design thing. Um, and if you picture UX UI as a process, UX design lays the foundation, sort of plans the building, plans the blueprint, and maybe builds the initial structure or the facade. Um, and then UI design comes in and finishes that and uh, polishes the colors, the typography, everything that the user is going to be seeing on the product. So that's kind of the difference there. Think of UX as being like research based and uh, planning, analytical, whereas UI design is more what you would think of as design traditionally, right? Sort of visual and that kind of thing. Um, so basically, UX design is all about empathizing with a customer, with the user of an app or a digital product to better understand their goals, needs, pain points, frustrations, and whatever unique conditions are necessary to understand about a particular group of users. Um, and ultimately, you want to define a problem that they're facing. Using the insights that we learn about the user, we can better understand that problem and design a solution to it. Let's see here. Key questions you'll ask during UX are who is using the product? How many different groups of people are using it? What's their ultimate goal for using the product? Like, what are they trying to accomplish? We know that people who use the Domino's Pizza app are going there to order a pizza. That's their ultimate goal. Of course, in other contexts or other cases, that's a little bit broader and maybe trickier to define what somebody's coming there to do, right? Um, for example, Amazon. The goal somebody has when coming to that website could be a number of things. And even if it is the main thing, which is ordering a product, there's all sorts of different products on there, and that could be, you know, any number of types of people buying those products. So there's a lot of, obviously research and understanding to be done in a case like that. Uh, And then we want to know why users are struggling with a product, what they're struggling with, and identify things that we might call friction points to optimize a digital process, like that pizza ordering process, right? Let's see here. Um, cool. Yeah, we'll just move on to the next slide. I don't want to take too long here. Okay, so imagine I used AI to generate an app for llama rentals. You open it, and it's what you see here. It looks pretty polished. They've got a dark purple thing going on with this sort of playful typography. They've got animations and a lot of fun interface elements. See here. Buttons have good border radius, and yeah, you can have a llama delivered anywhere to where you live. But does anyone actually need this? And even if they do need this app, do they need all of what's going on here? Uh, I definitely used AI to generate this, by the way. Um, just one text-based prompt generated each of these screens. So in order for this to be something worth pursuing or even introducing as a product to actual users, we must ask who's using this, what problem is Llama Zoom solving? Um, is this business as a whole necessary? And do people rent llamas often enough to merit this, right? And then other questions like what happens if all of the llamas are booked as well, right? So all sorts of uh, functional conditions that we would have to consider for any kind of app, really. Um, the AI can't account for when it's making it. You still have to go in and kind of gut this thing and figure out what the app shows you when you can't book a llama right now. You have to wait until February to book a llama, and then there's only certain dates and times you can do that. Um, Now, of course, figuring that out could be made a bit faster through the use of AI tools, and that's where they come in handy. And learning how to leverage them to help your process in that way is where I find them to be useful. Also, previously, if I had to give this presentation on like, maybe a different topic, obviously, I would have spent hours working on wireframes like this for a slide, just as an example. And so it was really convenient to be able to just, you know, tell the AI to give me a llama app. Um, okay, cool. So you can design a beautiful, appealing solution to the wrong problem. Now, you'll remember earlier I said one of the uh, well, really, the main thing you do in UX is solve problems, right? You understand problems and design solutions to them. Um, let's see, a product can be attractive, like the Llama app was, and even functional. You can navigate through it relatively easily, and it can make use of the latest design trends and strategically use proven design patterns, um, and maintain a visual language that users are already familiar with, right? Like um, pinch to zoom, right? People kind of instinctually know how to do that, scrolling up and down, using a little house for the home icon, things like that. But still, the product can solve the wrong problem. Uh, or worse, it can fail to solve any problem at all. And again, if you had to think of UX design in the simplest terms, we're not really doing UX design if we're not understanding and solving a problem. So an AI tool does not eliminate this, and in some ways, the AI makes it easier to hide. Um, And that's kind of problematic, especially when you're talking about investing time and resources into creating a product. Let's see here. So I mentioned the iterative process of UX. And let's touch on that real quick. So in UX design, UX UI design, all of the design work, well, not just design work, research as well, all of the work looks like this, more or less. Um, there are a few different UX frameworks, and they're covered in the WFI course. And if you're familiar with them already, maybe a little bit, this will jog your memory. We've got design thinking. That's a very popular one. That's very focused on like fast iterative design and testing those ideas quickly. The double diamond process, which sort of presents it uh, as a way to have a lot of ideas and then focus in on the best ideas that you have. If that sounds a little abstract at the moment, it certainly did to me the first time I heard about it. And then the user-centered design process, which sort of frames this whole thing in a way to, um, you know, research, design, and test a product in a way that's like effective for investment and proving, things like return on investment, and then continuing to improve upon that product. Now, I know I trailed off a little bit there, but everything I just described, Double Diamond, design thinking, and user-centered design, are all three different ways of framing this same basic thing here. Um, you identify who your user is and empathize with them, whether you conduct user interviews where, I'd sit down with them and interview a few of the target users for, I don't know, 30 to 45 minutes each. I'd ask them the same set of questions and try to learn insights from them about using how they currently use products like the one we have and their other relevant habits and experiences. Um, we could research the competitor apps as well. Um, we could conduct tests on our app if we are currently redesigning something. Um, Whatever the method is, we just want to empathize with the user, gather lots of information about them. And then we want to define a clear problem. And that sort of sets the goal for the entire design that you'll be creating in the long run. Um, we set our sight on that goal and ideate many different solutions. See here, and there's always a good collaborative effort made here in ideation when you're working with several other designers. Um, and then we'll create a prototype of a design, test that, and then take that feedback, sort of rinse and repeat, right? We'll go back and we'll try to define a problem with what we noticed from those testing insights. We'll think of ways we can improve upon it, and then prototype our new improved version, and then test it again. And then eventually, obviously, you roll it out as the final product. Now, there's a few other ways to divide this up when we're talking about designing an entire product that you wouldn't do the entire product at one time, right? Maybe you'd focus on one set of screens first, and then you'd do the second set of screens later. Um, that's not too important right now. Let's see here. What is important about understanding this is that it's iterative and you're constantly validating your work, right? You want to see if it really does or doesn't work for the users. And if we can define a problem about the user and then have the AI kind of do all the ideation for us, we still need to feed it a prompt, obviously, that would, you know, give us an adequate solution that actually understands the problem that we defined. Um, but you can certainly use it to speed that up. Uh, all this to say, UX isn't a straight line here, and it does look a little bit different in some places. Um, we'll move on here. Oh, whoops. Sorry, I haven't used Google Slides in a while. So let's give an example of how UX is not linear. So imagine we're designing a medication app. We start with a pretty obvious problem here. People forget to take their medications. What's the obvious solution to this? Malcolm, what do you think the obvious solution is?
Definitely a reminder, Nolan, because I am also quite known to be negligent and forgetful about when it's time to take my meds. So yes, a reminder on a device that's accessible to you, that you have on hand at all times, probably your smartphone. So definitely a reminder to take my meds.
Absolutely. Yeah. Reminding them. People are forgetting, give them a reminder. And if I gave this problem to Figma Make or any AI tool, really, uh, there's a few others too. That would be a good one. But there's a good chance, basically, that they give you some version of reminders, right? They give you some version of this solution. But people are complicated. And if we're really trying to improve this thing, this medication reminder app concept, um, let's see here. If we're trying to improve it, if we're really trying to make it work well for our particular user base, we want to empathize with those users. And when we do, we could uncover insights about them that kind of complicate the problem a bit more. Let's see here. So let's look at a deeper version of this. So yes, in the project, a more interesting problem here would be that users were facing uncertainty. Like their medication reminder goes off, and then they walk into a different room, and they walk in there and they don't see their medication because they forgot what they were walking in there to do. Um, and then the reminder comes back again later because they didn't hit complete, maybe 20 minutes later, and then they think, oh, wait, did I already take this? Um, and then they don't know, right? That certainly has happened to myself and many others in the past. Um, right?
Yeah,
Now,
definitely.
a reminder doesn't really solve that. The reminder tells you when you're supposed to take it. It doesn't like, give you proof that you actually did, and there's still that uncertainty. Um, let's see here. Now, if you're on antibiotics or something, for example, you could be pouring out your prescription pill bottle to go back and check, like, okay, wait, how many are left? What date did I start taking these? Especially if you have like attention deficit disorder or whatever, it just can be a whole mess. So, the solution would be to confirm. And I don't think the AI would give this to you as a solution unless somebody already did it and they published something about it online, right? Um, a different problem, a deeper problem requires a different solution. So, since we changed the definition of the problem and focused it a bit more, our solution had to change with it. So, forgetting suggests reminders, but the uncertainty that we brought up suggests the need for confirmation. And what we've got here on the screen is the initial reminder, right, for the medication. And then on screen two, from clicking verify, we get to an image confirmation to actually take a picture and log it of your dose of medication that you can then come back to later and see, oh, okay, it was in my hand. I remember I immediately took the medication right after that. Um, So this whole design concept just became creating visual evidence that the medication had been taken. And then you can go back and review it whenever you want. You can share it with your doctor too if you wanted to prove that you'd been taking the medication daily.
Ew.
Um, what's that? Yeah.
Sorry,
So, oh,
I
go
think
ahead.
Sharon accidentally unmuted herself
Yeah,
there.
sorry about that. That was on accident.
Oh,
No
you're fine.
worries.
Okay, cool. So the quality of the solution depended on the quality of our understanding of the problem. Um, and this solution here, photo log confirmation, this was not created by AI. Um, and as I said, I don't know of any AI that would give you, such a, such a human solution for this problem, right? Now, AI could certainly help us to communicate the problem better. Maybe we need to make a slide deck about, um, the problem to share with a stakeholder to explain where we want the project to go, maybe to present to other designers. Um, Wonderfully, the AI can help us with things like parsing through transcripts from interviews. I mentioned interviews as a research method earlier. And if you think about conducting five interviews with five different people that are 45 minutes each, and you record the Zoom session in which those interviews take place, that's five 45-minute transcripts and however many notes you took during the process. And you have to go through and get all of the answers to people's questions and then write a report with all of that in it to summarize your findings, your insights, right? Um,
Yeah.
that's very time consuming. And even, something like ChatGPT or Claude, hopefully, um, can help you by just taking those transcripts and reading through them and summarizing them for you and save what would have been 90 minutes to 2 hours of pouring through these and kind of writing down your insights and um, sorting through everything, thinking of what's most important to include on the report, what's kind of least important. Um, and that's, one very straightforward use for AI that was doing what I talk about when it's reducing the friction and saving you time. Let's see here. So yeah, when people talk about AI and design, usually they focus on image generation, those crappy AI images you see everywhere. The slop, I believe they call it, when people generate like some weird thing on Facebook or whatever. And that's fine. You can use AI for that if you want to. Um, but workflow is where I think the real value in AI lies in improving your workflow. Almost every part of this process here, from you know the research, writing your interview questions, right? Or creating cards for a card sort, which is another UX research method. To, as I just said, um, synthesizing your research transcripts, to defining the problem, and ideating different design solutions, and then even streamlining your digital design in Figma or whatever you're using. All of that can be helped by AI. Let's see here. There are even tools that will do some testing of your system, of like your design prototypes. It's not the same as testing with real users of your app, obviously. Um, But when you get more familiar with it, things like e-commerce website design, AI tools that will show you where people are more likely to be looking on a web page, or where they're likely to click, or where potential issues arise are. Um, that can give you a really quick fix and optimize a website for a client, for example. Um, let's see here. So I guess I kind of covered what I wanted to hear with this table, with what I was just saying, but you know, laying it out like this, AI ultimately helps you summarize research, helps you find patterns in your research findings. Um, the Yeah, for ideation, it can help you generate different possibilities, whether you want to ask questions through text, or you want to use Figma Make or UI Zard, which is pronounced wizard, but it's spelled like UI Zard, which is a different tool. You can use those to help you generate different design concepts as well. Creating layouts, which this is a big one. This is certainly helpful for people who, are new to using Figma or any kind of digital design tool, right? Um, Different things like auto layout in Figma, and getting your spacing on elements exactly right uh, can be challenging. And using Figma Make will help the uninitiated with that very well. Um, yeah, UI, generate visual design, build interactions, and prototyping. You don't have to memorize all of this right now, obviously. Um, this is just to give you an idea of how diverse these tools can be in helping you in different points in what is a process that takes weeks or months. And when you think about that being drawn out over such a period of time, it can really help to reduce an overall expenditure of time. Um, Now, one thing I've personally come to find AI very useful for, um, and recommending to other people, is the unique way that it can kind of help you to learn passively in really any topic you might be wanting to explore, especially specific details on. Um, this goes for UX and UI design specifically as well. If you've got a curious mind, you'll have a lot of nuanced questions come up about any of the, you know, design tools or softwares you're using or engaging with. For example, a question like asking what is the optimal layout grid size for mobile apps when you're designing on the iPhone 17 screen size. And
Mm.
then, how wide should the margins on the page be? How wide should the gutters be? Right? Just something really specific like that. Previously, trying to Google search for an answer to such a question would likely require you to browse through several search results, um, probably a Reddit thread, some forum posts, maybe, and then even still, you might not find like a super definitive answer to it. And that sucks. Um, you might need to seek out an expert's opinion online to get that answer. Now, that's very time consuming. And as somebody who's had many such questions, and I'm sure you've had questions like that in the past that have just been, had to go unanswered, like I have, it doesn't have to be that way anymore, right? See here. Now you can get all your hyper-specific questions answered. And that's something I find it very useful for. The generative AI text tools, especially like Google's AI mode, I'm not sure if anybody's used that. You can use it in the search bar. Uh, you can ask these super specific questions. Um, see, yeah, and it'll do the legwork for you, like I just said. Go to those Reddit pages, or sorry, Reddit threads rather. Um, Find the blogs from people who've been UI designers or front end developers for 20, 25 years at this point. They're like really experienced. Um, and you don't need to go and find all that yourself. The AI mode or AI search will do all of that for you, and give you a well a well written, thought out answer. Um, I guess I shouldn't say thought out. There's not really any thinking going on. It's just, you know,
Yeah.
generating it, right?
Indeed.
Um, Ultimately, getting these answers to questions like this, your big questions, can make you feel more informed on the nuances of topics while you're learning them. And it will lower the barrier required for you to get engaged with something, like using a new design tool, piece of software. Like if you wanted to go learn uh, Photoshop tonight, or at least get started on it, you can ask really specific questions to it. You can ask what a certain button does by just describing it, or what does the feathering feature or tool do, and it'll give you an answer. And you could say that's using language I don't understand. Please write that as though I'm a beginner and I have never used Photoshop before, and then it'll do that. I've gotten to the point where I've got hundreds of chats with Chat GPT asking questions like that. Um, let's see here. So ultimately, I think leveraging AI in this way is incredibly useful when learning to use Figma to design, or creating a UX case study to talk about your projects that you did in a course like this and put it in your portfolio. See, this way you aren't going to need to scour through video tutorials or forums or blog posts and things like that. Oh, should not be going off there. Okay. Let's see, what do I want to cover here while we still have the time? Give me just a moment.
Sure.
Okay, here's what we'll do. We'll just go over this. I did a quick prompt to prototype demo that I already generated. So
Mhm.
uh, I've got two wireframes here that I generated with two different prompts. They're supposed to be a similar or even kind of the same wireframe, but two different prompts with two different results. So I'm going to do the first one that is intentionally bad. So here's the prompt I sent to Figma Make. I just asked it to generate a mobile app that helps people navigate airports. Here's what I didn't specify. Who are the users? Are they frequent flyers or first-time travelers? Do they fly internationally? Um, what conditions does the airport they're in require them to account for? See here, tight connections are a big factor too. All of these different conditions that matter. Are they traveling with families? Essentially, I've given the AI a topic, right? It's not really like a problem that it's helping you solve. So the AI created something with, flight cards. I think maybe there's an airport map, your ticket, or sorry, boarding pass for your upcoming flight. And then maybe it has stuff like nearby restaurants, right? Here's what it generated though, and it's pretty generic for a dashboard.
Yeah.
So yeah, whoops. It definitely looks like an airport app, right?
It certainly does. It actually looks like an airline app to me as well. If you're flying with a certain carrier, this is what my e-ticket would look like on in my wallet of my iPhone.
Yeah, exactly. And that's
Yeah.
pretty much where it's drawing the inspiration from, I'd imagine. And that's great. But the app we want to create rather, is for helping people navigate airports. And this seems more like a boarding pass kind of app, right? Rather than
Yeah.
something would look at, maybe like an elderly person. Like my grandmother, uh, God bless her. She still flies on her own. I do not know why she still is, but she does. And when you go to the airport, um, and you've got to make like a tight connection or something, uh, it's just I bet it's tough for her sometimes. And a lot of travelers, right? Especially people who don't fly a lot. So, even though this looks good and could be a good stepping off point for a design, um, let's be more specific with the problem that we ask, or sorry, the problem we ask the AI to solve, rather. So here's the second prompt I sent. It says
Mm.
to design a mobile app for travelers making tight connections in unfamiliar airports. Um, so look, the AI is interpreting a bit here. Users are often stressed, carrying luggage, and have less than 30 minutes before boarding. The primary goal is reducing uncertainty and helping users reach the correct gate as quickly as possible. And we gave it a list of priorities as well. It needs to have large glanceable directions, walking time estimates, um, real-time gate changes, so on and so forth. Okay, cool. So when I sent it, here's what it gave me. A lot less going on here. Notice what changed. We do still have some of the same elements, like what I believe is the, yeah, connecting flight number, and the gate that it's at. Um, see, the time you have until the next flight.
I love
And
that.
right, right.
Yeah.
So it's all very simply described to the users here. And you might think, well, they have a lot less going on here. Um, well, for one, we could scroll down and there's more content on this screen. But more importantly, if you think about where the user is actually using this app with, maybe a backpack strung over one shoulder, or they've got, their suitcase that they're carrying in the other hand, dragging behind them. And they have never been to this airport before and they need to get to their next gate. So they're using this in one hand while they're walking. And they know it's a tight connection. So while they're going through Atlanta Airport or wherever, they can see what flight it is, how long they have, and then importantly, the real money maker here is the step-by-step instructions as they navigate through the airport. So from here, they need to walk toward the escalators. I'd imagine we would have some kind of like compass that lets them know if they're walking the right way.
Yeah.
Um, and ultimately, this is a far better solution for helping the user to achieve their goal of getting to their next gate, right?
Yeah.
The AI improved here because our understanding of the user improved. The AI didn't understand the user for us. We still had to do that. And this is all to say that ultimately you are the brains of the process here. Um, it may seem like AI's like replacing people, and sure, it can be used to maybe lower the number of jobs in some industries, but ultimately, I think a lot of companies, or bigger tech companies that have laid off people to automate things, are starting to regret that, and not just in UX, SEO. Certainly, SEO, there's of course human resources, I believe. Don't quote me on all this. I don't have like I'm not an expert, but it is a thing that companies are regretting, right? They're losing talent, and you are the brains of the process here. They'll never replace your mind. Um, and yeah, I think for somebody who doesn't know about user experience design, or whatever you're working on, um, AI can sort of masquerade a bad idea as something that looks complete and well thought out, like this here. Somebody who doesn't know about screen design or mobile app design, really. They see this and they think that looks like a good mobile app. But a UX designer looks in this and thinks, wait, why do people need to know a llama happiness index or the number of gallops or what, like, how is that relevant? That's just fluff. No pun intended. Um, Given that it's a llama app. Um, so yeah, I think that's about where I wanted to end it. I don't want to keep us much longer.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Oh, well,
be the brains.
amazing, amazing. Before I wrap things up, I'd like to open the floor towards the attendants today to ask any questions if they have. Uh, does anybody have any questions? Would anyone like to ask any questions to Nolan? You could be an existing UI UX designer. You could be somebody who is just exploring this field. I think now is the best time to ask an expert in the field any questions. There aren't any questions that are uh, too silly or too unfounded. So please go ahead. Okay, it doesn't seem like there are any questions, but that's okay. Nolan, thank you so very much for your time and a very informative presentation today. I love how you differentiated between UX design and UI design. And what you mentioned very early in the webinar is that UX design is all about empathizing with the customer, which is something AI cannot do at the moment. And I think that also speaks strongly towards how AI is a fantastic tool, but it's certainly not going to replace human designers or human UX and UI designers in the near future. So thank you very much for that. Um, so yes, thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. No, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to have you here with us, Nolan. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Um, Before we conclude today's session, I just want to thank Nolan again for sharing his time with us and his insights. And I want to thank all of the attendees for staying through the webinar and for participating. As a thank you for attending, we are offering an exclusive webinar promotion of $500 off any of our boot camps. All you need to do is mention the discount code, which is webinar 500, and you can use this code when you enroll with us. Uh, at the end of this webinar, you will receive an email to the email that you've used to register for this account for this webinar, which will outline the next steps for you. So I also encourage you all to visit our website, which is workforceinstitute.io, to explore all of the programs we have on offer. You can also review all of the curriculums online and also request more information on any of our boot camps. So I really thank everybody today for joining us. But most especially, thank you very much, Nolan, for your time. We truly appreciate you. And I appreciate everybody for taking the time today to join us. I've learned some amazing, invaluable lessons. So thank you so much.